Welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of June 29th, 2020. Every week we chat about the things parents are talking about, complaining about, and obsessing about right now. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
This week we are complaining about work-life balance, and obsessing about how to support stressed-out kids. We are also taking a couple of breaks for an entertainment discussion and a recommendation roundup. But today, we are talking about our first apartments. Oh, taking the path back to early memory. Nicole, your son is just getting ready to move into his first, is it his first solo apartment? Or, because he's been in apartments with other guys, right?
Well, he was in a frat house, so I wouldn't consider that
doesn't
an apartment.
count. Dorms don't count. Frat houses don't count.
Nope. Does that even count as a residence? I'm not sure.
Well, so this is like it's like first, decorating and first furniture and first. What's going on with that? And what was your first apartment experience like? I'm sure you're telling him about it a lot, and he's appreciating the wisdom of your experience.
Let me tell you, I did not have the options, nor did I have the money to afford backtrack. So he's heading off to medical school at the end of July, and his school is in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh my.
And, and so
that
it's
sounds
actually
potentially dangerous, but okay.
Well, it's in a
there's
suburb.
movies like that.
Yeah, it's in like a little suburb, or it's its own city, but it's called Henderson. So it's really, it's a couple minutes from Vegas. But just given the economic situation right now, which is so dire, there are a lot of empty apartments. So it's really a renter's market right now.
Yeah.
And he has, like a lot of options and some really nice places for cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Nevada's probably considerably cheaper than Southern California.
Oh, by a million times. I mean, it's so much cheaper. And so he's looking at these apartments going, these are homes and people could live here for, these are not just stopping points, or stepping stones along the way. So, he's definitely got a lot of options to choose from. So, he's going through, all these amenities that these places have, washer and dryer and tile floor, like the nice tile.
Yeah.
And, granite countertops and 2 parking spaces and, pool, hot tub, like just a fitness room, like the amenities are just unbelievable. And so, but of course he'll be going definitely with no furniture, and so we'll have to figure that whole side of things out. It won't be decorated as nicely as what it looks like in the picture online. But yeah, when I think about my first apartment, when I, living on my own in university, it was a basement suite.
Yeah.
It was like literally a studio basement suite in this sketchy little suburb of Vancouver, because it was all I could afford. And the door, it didn't even have a stove. Like, it had a hot plate. That was mine. And it had, it was a 1-bedroom, and it had a tiny little bathroom. But the peculiar thing about it was that you could only lock it from the inside, I believe. No, the outside. You could only lock it from the outside. I don't know. It was a weird setup, so that if you didn't have a key, you couldn't unlock the door or lock it, obviously. But you needed a key to unlock it. That's what it was. So a key had to be in the door at all times. So I remember one time when my husband, who was my fiance at the time, he was there, and I had left to head off for a job, and I left him in the apartment, but without the key. I had taken the key. And I had locked him in my apartment, and he had to literally climb out the basement window to escape my apartment so he could get to work. So, But yeah, it was just this, like, and it was probably, I mean, it was so tiny. It was the size of a closet. But I loved it. I thought I was so independent. And I definitely have fond memories. And it was like right beside this super busy, it was pretty much a highway. It was just like right. And then to top it off, when I moved in, my landlord said to me, just to warn you, my wife is expecting, and within the next couple of weeks, and we've opted for home birth. No. So if you hear lots of footsteps and
screaming, yeah,
odd sounds in the middle of the night, that's what's going on. So it was quite an experience. Something tells me my son will not have much of the same experience.
I don't know. Vegas, you never know.
Air conditioned, it's going to be like, very different to mine.
Yeah.
So that was my first apartment experience, and, built character.
Absolutely. Yes.
How about you guys?
Yeah, neither of my kids have had the opportunity to move out, although, my daughter would dig having her own place so much. She can't afford it, so it's just as well that she doesn't want it. But I'm kind of sad for her because she would love it. But that's not going to happen anytime in the foreseeable future. I went to college, and then I was in a dorm for 1 year, and then I shared an apartment with 3 other girls for my second year, and then my junior and senior years in college, I had a studio apartment, which was, closet sized. It was quite snug, but it was mine, and I loved it, and it felt so great to be. I wound up staying over the summer just because, I got my place. This is my place. It was the first of many, many apartments I lived in my 20s. But I still think fondly back on it, although would I want to live there now? Oh my goodness, no. So, because it was a kitchen, a bathroom, and a living room with a couch that I folded out to sleep on at night. So it was extremely tight. It was in this little community. I went to University of California, Santa Barbara, and there's a little community next to it named Isla Vista where all the students live in apartments and stuff. And so it was in that community, and you could walk to things, and everybody else living around you was a student, and it was nice. It was perfect for that time in my life. I dug it. It was good. But you talk about moving to a different place with different economics, and after college, I moved to Kansas City, and the first apartment I had there was in a big building, and it was furnished, and it was, it was nice. It was 1 bedroom. But then I wound up moving a little further from the city, and I had like this huge 2-bedroom apartment with, like you say, all the amenities, and I think it was like $200 a month, something like that. It was incredibly cheap. It was less than I had paid for the closet in Santa Barbara. That's, it had a washer and a dryer, and it had all this stuff. Yeah. It was so nice. Didn't have a garage was the only problem in Kansas City winters, but I think back fondly on that apartment too. That was really nice for no money. So I wish, when I look forward one day, possibly one or the other of my kids will have their own place, and I will be able to express my opinions as to what they should do about it. But that will be when I am even more elderly than I am now. So perhaps I will no longer care. But Catherine, what was your first apartment like?
Well, I had one in college, and that was with 3 other girls, and it was the ground floor of this giant house, and the landlords lived upstairs, and they were extremely tolerant now that I think about it. I mean, we did have parties, like we weren't ragers, but we did have parties here and there, and people coming in and out, and there were 4 of us, and and it had 2 like normal sized bedrooms and 2 gigantic bedrooms, and I had a normal size one. And that was fine. And it was like pretty close to campus. I remember when we were looking at places, this was in Philadelphia, and we looked at a place that was above a cheesesteak restaurant. And we were like, we can't do it. I mean, the grease was just, you couldn't live with that. You just couldn't. So yeah, but in general, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good situation.
I had one of those apartments too, where one bedroom was real nice and the other one was smaller, and we switched halfway through the year. Mm-hmm. We were, with two sets of two, and one half of the year we were in the room with the bunk beds, and the second one we were in the one with the twin beds. But
we did that in like our on-campus suite type apartment where it was still a dorm, but it had a little kitchen and it had, the one giant room that two people shared and then two singles. So we did that switcheroo thing. But in the apartment, those people just paid more.
Okay. Oh, well, that works out too. That's good too.
Yeah. And then when I moved to New York for like a week, I lived in the Salvation Army home for girls. That was quite something. But eventually I found a little studio and it was very cute. Like it worked just fine for what I needed, filled
Was
it up
the
with
walk-up where you had to go up like...
It was a walk-up, but it was only on the third floor. So it was only 2 flights. The next apartment after that was the 5th floor walk-up. So and I lived there a lot longer.
Oh my gosh.
But the 3rd floor one, it wasn't a big deal. And the kitchen wasn't in the main living space. Like it was sort of, there was like a little partial wall that divided. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of nice, even though, of course, it was a studio, so there was no bedroom. The bed was in the living room. But, it was, like you said, Terry, it was all my own. And I had like a little fire escape and I had my own space. It had a full bathroom. It had this little kitchen that did have a teeny tiny little New York apartment sized stove, like a 2-burner kind of deal. And so that worked really well for that time. And then I moved into the larger, the walk-up that was way at 5th floor. And that was with a roommate. So that was, and that was good too.
Wow.
Would you guys feel cool about your kids living in any of those apartments you lived in? Or would you think, not good enough for my kid?
No way.
Or, I was sophisticated enough to handle it, but they would not be.
I think they would be okay. I mean, the one was like campus housing, and it was, it wasn't. It was privately owned and operated, but it would be fine. I did get mugged outside, like...
Well, this is the one.
A block away from that one, but it was on the last possible day.
But it was fine.
It was the last day of school, basically. It was graduation. So, and then the one in New York, that was fine too. I actually, one night, slept the whole night with the door open. Like, not only unlocked, but a little bit ajar.
Oh, wow.
Why?
I don't know. It didn't close, or I don't know what happened. In the morning, I woke up, I was like, oh my God.
It wasn't intentional.
No, it wasn't intentional. But, it was like open to the stairwell, like anybody could.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what. That was just a...
And you lived to tell the tale. Kids, don't try this.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, don't. Well, we've all had our tales, and our kids will have them too, but they just won't be as interesting.
Or in their own way.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's it for today's round 1. Tune in tomorrow for our entertainment-themed round 2, and later in the week to find out what we're complaining about, obsessing about, and recommending right now. We're always interested in what you have to say, so drop us a comment on our website, our Facebook page, or Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.